पॉलिसी बाजार पर 1 करोड़ रुपए का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस केवल 450 रुपए महीने से शुरू। Wow.
Welcome back. The latest hate speech by the BJP leader Pragya Thakur, who has urged the gathering where she was speaking to at least keep a sharp kitchen knife to cut throats and heads of those indulging in love jihad. On the show, why is a free run being given to a hatemonger?
इसलिए लव जिहाद करने वालों को लव जिहाद जैसा उत्तर दो। अपनी लड़कियों को सुरक्षित रखो, अपनी लड़कियों को संस्कारित करो, अपने घर में हथियार रखो। कुछ नहीं तो सब्जी काटने वाला चाकू जरा तेज रखो। जब हमारा सब्जी अच्छे से कटेगी तो निश्चित रूप से दुश्मनों के मुंह भी और सिर भी अच्छे से कटेंगे।
Shocking remarks that at a time when the Supreme Court has said that action needs to be taken against hate speech. Joining us now, Dr. Shashi Panja, Cabinet Minister in the Government of West Bengal, and a spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress, Geeta Bhatt. Sanjay Jha joins us, Pramila Nasargi of the BJP, and we'll be joined by Dr. Vikram Singh, the former Director General of Police in Uttar Pradesh. In fact, he joins us. Pramila Nasargi, does anything justify these remarks?
I don't agree, See, she is a representative of the parliament. She represents, she must be a role model, and whatever she speaks, she must be very careful. Especially if she is addressing the gathering. The people will always follow the MPs and they believe in their words. I do not think that she has done a talk which should not have been done. I feel that she must apologize and she must withdraw that, and she must tell the people that it was done in maybe under some impression or something, but she must withdraw that. I don't agree with that remarks.
Should the party not have taken action against her, or shouldn't the party be taking action against her? Pramila ji?
That is left to the party. Whatever they take, they may have their own way of telling her. They may issue a show cause notice, or they may call her and warn her. It is their lookout. I am not here to say what they should do, but in fact they should take action. I feel that they must warn her and they must tell her in clearly cut words that you should not have uttered those words. I agree, a knife is there. Why the knife is used for cutting cake. Knife is used for making the bread slices. Knife is used for cutting vegetables. That does not mean that she must advise the people to use the knife for taking action against other person. It may be love jihad or it may be something else. There is a method in madness too. How action to be taken, law will take its own course. They can lodge a complaint and they must take. But this is not the way to advise people.
Dr. Shashi Panja, is that answer from Pramila ji, who herself is a senior leader of the BJP, an indicator of what the party may be thinking on those remarks?
No, with due respect to Pramila ji, we are actually not convinced by her argument. It's very unfortunate. Even we are elected representatives. An elected, she's a lawmaker. She's a repeated hate monger. And in fact, she is a terror accused. She is out on bail on medical grounds because she probably has cancer or something. And that's why she's out on bail. And she's not supposed to utter these. What is the example that as a lawmaker we are setting for the country? And imagine, as a lawmaker, if I do not have faith in the law of the country, how do you expect the people to have faith in the courts of law or even any kind of legal jurisdiction? It's very unfortunate. But she's a repeated offender. And having said that, BJP in the past, I think even the Prime Minister had once, condemned her statement on Mahatma Gandhi. But even then, after that, what did we see? She got a ticket to stand for MP election from Bhopal. So where were you forgiven? And if you think that we are all going to forgive and forget, I think it is just taking the story too far. It's very unfortunate. And there is no line of defense that anybody can take.
Geeta ji, in October, just 2 months back, the Supreme Court told states, and I quote from their order, their judgment, hate speech is a very serious issue. Treat it as a criminal case. File cases on hate speech without waiting for complaints. Act against those making hate speeches, irrespective of religion. Constitution envisages a secular nation and fraternity among citizens, etc., etc. Don't you believe more action should have been taken against her, legally?
Vishnuji, thanks for inviting me on your show. And you see, if you look at these words, then definitely, those who are in public life, they have to be very careful when they are addressing a particular issue. But if you look at the context in which these words were being used, I mean, I'm not justifying what has been used, but the context was the brutal murder of Harsha in the month of February. And that too, then a case when there was these, these movements which were going on in the south, and especially in Karnataka, by schoolgirls for wearing of hijab. And when he had put a post on Facebook, which in a way was contrary to that, he was, on this context, Harsha was very brutally murdered. And in fact, the NIA in its charge sheet that it has filed says that it was nothing which was, which just happened. The murder was very well planned and it was a conspiracy. It was in this backdrop, with respect to self-defense, that the issue was being addressed by the member of parliament.
But you heard the language. It's not language of self-defense. It's language of an eye for an eye, right? It's putting one community against the other. Firstly, we can go into endless arguments on this entire love jihad business. Most people or many people feel that it's just a bogey. But for a minister to act for an MP...
I differ from you. It is not a bogey. Love jihad is something which is, very much real, which happens all around us.
How many what numbers do you have of love jihad?
We want to close our eyes and pretend that it is not happening. So, the love jihad is a reality.
No, but on what basis do you say that, Geeta ji?
There are innumerable such cases.
How many cases are there, ma'am? In a country as large as ours? Can you give me a number?
There are innumerable numbers.
Where in the NCRB data is there something called love jihad?
4 to 5 cases.
Absolutely.
Yes, it definitely needs to be
ma'am,
documented, but
Geeta ji,
innumerable such cases are there.
Ma'am, you can say that there are innumerable cases, but I'm asking you, where is the NCRB data?
NCRB data, definitely it needs to be, this issue needs to be addressed by the NCRB, and this kind of a question needs to be needs to be posed and looked into, but the fact is, it is a reality.
Dr. Singh, is it enough for, sure, ma'am, Geeta ji, I get your point. Okay. Dr. Singh, do you believe that it's enough for, say, Geeta ji to say or assert that, look, it is happening, let's not be blind to it, or do you believe that it's not happening since data is missing? Where is the data? Isn't that the key issue here?
Vishnuji, this is a very serious matter. Wild allegations do not serve any purpose. If there is a data, and I've been channel after channel, there are only two things that are given. And the Kerala High Court has used the word love jihad. We are using the word love jihad even in your channel. That doesn't mean confirm or contradicts anything. Then they say the Hindu Mahasabha has given a data 451 love jihad. But Hindu Mahasabha, whatever data they may give, is uncorroborated, unproven, and unless it is corroborated by facts and investigation, it cuts no ice anywhere. And therefore, I would say, unless a thing is confirmed, it need not be even mentioned here.
Sanjay Jihad, if we get back to Pragya Thakur, the number of times that there have been hate speeches which she has made, it's almost as if she has a free pass. Somebody like Nupur Sharma was ultimately not given a free pass. She was suspended as a spokesperson. Naveen Jindal was suspended as well over remarks on the Prophet. BJP leaders were directed not to comment on religious figures. This became an international issue. It affected our relations with Middle Eastern nations. A police case was filed against her and others were promoting enmity. And yet over here nothing seems to be done. Is it a free pass?
Yeah, Vishnu, let me tell you, first and foremost, where love jihad is concerned, I think it insults the women of this country. It insults the girls of this country whose independent decisions to marry whom they want is now going to be subjected to some kind of an interfaith monitoring. I mean, clearly this is a political game plan, but it is so insulting to women. Can I also be candid on your show?
Yes, of course.
I really admire what Pramila ji has said. You know, she appears to me, I'm first time speaking with her on a TV channel debate, but she seems to belong to the Vajpayee age of the BJP. We are living in the age of Mr. Narendra Modi and Mr. Amit Shah. And let's call a spade here. It is not enough for us to just indulge in making politically correct statements. Why is Pragya Thakur getting a free pass? See, when your super bosses make a statement like, we have taught them a lesson, why don't you think Pragya Thakur will actually get some kind of inspirational motivation and encouragement? This is what I call as the dog whistle politics that Mr. Shah and Mr. Modi practice. Tell me one thing, on Bilkis Banu case, and we still have to wait for what the Supreme Court says. Mr. Modi is from Gujarat. It's an absolutely repugnant, reprehensible case where rapists have been released by the Gujarat government. Have you heard a word from the Prime Minister? Tell me one thing.
Let me put that across to Pramila ji. You know, it's wonderful, ma'am, that you don't accept this language of hate and of violence. But don't you believe that senior leaders in your party, including the Prime Minister, should step forward and say this is rubbish, it is intolerable, it's illegal?
It's illegal.
I can't really understand. For every small thing, you want to say Prime Minister must intervene, Home Minister must intervene.
No, but ma'am,
they
is it
won't
a
have
small
any
thing?
other work.
Pramila ji,
they are
is it a
there
small
to govern
thing?
the country, and I'm telling you. I'll just tell you.
Go ahead.
Love jihad is there. It's apparent. Everyone knows that it's going on, but there's a method how to control it. We have been saying, law is there. That does not mean law can be taken by your own hands. It can't. No individual can take the law into their own hands. There is government, there is police, there is a system, and only under that umbrella it must be worked out. You can't say you have a knife and to safeguard yourself, you can always use
Pramila ji,
it.
what
save
numbers
your
do
life,
you have?
But not to indulge
Ma'am,
in
you're
these
a lawyer.
activities. Not
And
to
you base your
indulge in these
arguments on
activities.
facts, ma'am. You're trained to do that.
Yes.
So I'm asking you, respectfully, what numbers do you have on love jihad in this country, which are substantiated and where there have been convictions in a court of law?
Sir, I'm not believing in conviction. I don't think in the present system.
Ma'am, you're a lawyer,
any
ma'am. How
conviction
can
could
you
be
not
there.
believe in
Evidence
convictions?
will not be there. They will be there. I tell you, I myself had many cases of love jihad, and I had a case from Shivamogga itself. You'll be surprised. A gun was taken away from there, and she was kept in Bangalore, near Munireddypalia, in 5th floor. The girl was not able to come aboard, and one day her mother got a phone call stating that, come and rescue me, I am having fever. She was admitted to hospital. They came to me. I had a time to interview the girl. She said, if I take any action, my life is in danger. I can't come out. I can't protect myself. Then I took the note of it, and I gave complaint to the concerned police officer.
But ma'am, in interfaith relationships, the scenario you described, ma'am.
This is what is going on. These are so many instances.
No, but Pramila ji, respectfully, in interfaith relationships which have gone wrong, exactly the opposite can happen. It could be a member of another faith who is the attacker and a member of another faith who is suffering. There is no reverse love jihad now, is there?
It is happening, it will continue to
If there is a crime like this, it is a crime under multiple sections of law.
How to control this?
It's not about religion, it's about a murder, it's about a kidnapping, it's about an attack or an assault on another individual. Why give it a religious spin when you cannot substantiate that with a number or what courts have said in terms of convictions?
Convictions, even in murder cases, how many convictions are there? How many convictions are there? Conviction will be done only given when only legal evidence is tendered before the court.
Right, but ma'am, there is no legal evidence which is given, ma'am. So, I mean, if you are alleging a conspiracy, which is what love jihad is, it is an allegation of a conspiracy and you don't provide the data to the court, how can there be a conviction? Sanjay has a point. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Vishnu,
I'll come to all of you. Sanjay first. Geeta, I'll come to you after that. Geeta ji. Yeah, Sanjay first.
It is for the investigating officer to give.
Yeah.
Half a sec, ma'am. Sanjay ji first, then Geeta ji, and then Dr. Panja. Yes.
Yeah. Vishnu, let me tell you this, that over the last 8 years, and let's call a spade here, we are seeing a progressive polarization in India. The BJP is now blatantly playing identity politics. In no democracy in the world, when there were public calls for genocide of the minorities in a country, would the top leadership remain quiet and pretend as if nothing happened?
No, but Sanjay, I must disagree with you somewhat, because in as much as you can talk about the remarks made by, say, the BJP leader Parvesh Verma, Anurag Thakur, or Nupur Sharma, or Pragya Thakur, what about cases made by others in opposition parties? For example, remarks made by Akbaruddin Owaisi, of Azam Khan, who's been convicted, in fact, for a provocative speech, or Badruddin Ajmal as well. So the language of hate, you know, is split. I'm not saying it's split down the center. I'm saying it's split.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 2 pages of horrible things people have said. Some are Hindu, some are Muslim, some are BJP, some are other parties.
Absolutely. And, you know, Vishnu, you have hit the nail on the head. You see, what the BJP does, I'm not trying to at all here, you know, stand to not condemn the horrible statements made by fundamentalists from the Muslim community. But the truth of the matter here is that the Bharatiya Janata Party is in government, right? You have a responsibility because you literally control the political discourse of the country. And end of day, for them, identity politics, religious polarization plays into electoral performance. I mean, that is really the modus vivendi for them, because it plays into their electoral playbook. And why would, and let me tell you, in no democracy of the world would the prime minister or the political leader be quiet when there is such a flagrant violation of basic, I would say, fundamental rights that a citizen has against hate speech.
Sure.
The Supreme Court comments on it, but the government is silent. What does it tell you?
Geeta ji, you had a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, Vishnuji, you know, as far as the Bilkis Bano case, I think Mr. Jha, you know, he straight away points a finger to on the Prime Minister, but he is not questioning that why is it that the Supreme Court, you know, Bilkis Bano went to the Supreme Court with the plea, but it was turned down by the Supreme Court. Is it that Supreme Court did it just on, you know, their own, some, you know, whims and fancies, or was it because there was some legal reason behind it?
The case is pending.
So please, let us not try to portray this case in such a manner. Secondly, there are innumerable, since you are asking for that, where are the numbers? Yes, there needs to be a documentation in these numbers, but I very categorically remember that a national tutor named Tara Sardio, he was, you know, a man married her on the pretext of being a Hindu, and later on she came to know that he was actually a Muslim, and then it was a very big news, and she actually went to the court.
Ma'am, in a country as large as ours,
it is not just
how
that.
can you
There
say
are
that love jihad is a concerted conspiracy
So,
by
what
Muslims
about-
among members
what
of the
about
Hindu
the-
community?
What about
Interfaith relations can go wrong. Perhaps this was one relationship which went wrong. But the
He
moment you
did.
use love jihad,
That only
you
Hindu
label an
community.
entire community, ma'am. That's the problem.
I am not labeling it. Is free something.
These are all anecdotal
Love
examples.
jihad. Let me ask, who coined this term love jihad? It was the High Court judge in Kerala, T. Sankaran, who actually, he was the one who actually asked the government to look into this matter, because there were innumerable such cases coming in the state.
And on the
he
basis of that, what has been done, ma'am?
Love jihad.
How many
That
cases
there is-
exist
this is
right now?
something that needs to be looked by the
All right,
government.
fine. Let me ask Dr. Panja that question.
And it is not
Dr.
just
Panja,
once,
the
it is
definition of love
1916
jihad.
that Yogi Commission was set up by the then government.
Actually, Vishnuji, there are lots of new definitions which are being gradually introduced under the, NDA government. And vigilantism justice is something which they have introduced. And it is like interfering in everybody's lives. And relationships which have gone awry, relationships which have gone bad, have now all been given a communal tone. No wonder there is so much of communal tension, which has almost increased 28% under this government since 2014. So it is as you rightly said, Vishnu Shom, that these are all criminal cases and there is a law for it. But the very fact that the interfaith relationships are deliberately being given a communal, kind of a outlook is very, very unfortunate. And instead of trying to terminate the argument by not justifying what Sadhvi Pragya Thakur said, you are perpetuating it. I mean, Sanjay Jaji, you honestly praised the lady, the lawmaker from Karnataka a bit too early. Because ultimately, they are all believing in the concept of love jihad. I mean, what is this? It's vigilantism justice. I mean, is this the way justice is given, or have they reached a conclusion?
All right. Okay.
And-
Last word to Dr. Vikram Singh. So, as a former Director General of Police, if you are given an order or you see an order from a court, the Supreme Court, on hate speech, that action must be taken. Don't wait for complaints. Treat it as a criminal cases. Act against those making hate speeches, irrespective of religion. Isn't it incumbent upon the police to carry out arrests? There's been no action in this case.
Vishnuji, this is not rocket science. Tehseen Poonawalla versus Union of India, suo moto action has to be taken, and the law is very simple. 295A of the IPC, 153A of the IPC, 505 of the IPC. If this doesn't work, National Security Act, subsection 1, public order. Where there is a will, there is a way. But if you choose to look the other way, well, this is exactly what we should have been debating. The rule of law is supreme, applicable to all of us, including you, me, and everybody in the country. But yes, show me the man and I'll show you the rules. It doesn't work that way.
I think that's the unfortunate truth. Just one more point as I wrap this up. Here's what the Supreme Court said, and perhaps we need to remind ourselves of this as we discuss these statements of hate. The Constitution envisages a secular nation and fraternity among citizens. There cannot be fraternity unless communities are able to live in harmony. The moment we have statements like this, go brandish a knife which can be used to cut off somebody's head, then how are we doing anything of that sort? And these things keep coming up over and over again. It's sad. We leave this debate over here. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. We'll take this short break. More coming up.